Welcome to SveNFL.
What's up, y'all?
It's Jonathan Rollins.
Skip me, sorry.
Two Americans living in Sweden talking about Brussels sprouts.
Let's go, Brussels sprouts.
No, we're talking about football. We're not talking about Brussels sprouts.
What?
Yeah,
Why
I'm
not?
sorry, man. I'm a liar. I'm trying to just trap people into listening to our podcast.
Yo, Brussels sprouts, underrated vegetable.
Yes.
Right?
I haven't had it as good as they are until I moved here. Like I fell in love with Brussels sprouts here. Fell in love is maybe the wrong term, but I appreciate them a lot more after being here for a few Christmases when it's one of the, side dishes at a Christmas dinner. The tiny Brussels sprouts with the little bacon bits and the Parmesan cheese. It's just fucking great.
Bro, the rule of thumb, you put bacon and Parmesan on just about anything.
Glass of milk.
That's gonna be, shit's gonna be good.
Yeah, that's a good ass glass of milk. I've had a million glasses of milk in my life, and only one time I said that's a good ass glass of milk, and that was the time I decided to try out bacon and Parmesan. It is what it is. It is what it is.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man. Week 10 is in the books, man.
What a weekend. We didn't make a bet this weekend because Father's Day, I guess, kind of got in the way. But did you feel that your children sufficiently celebrated and appreciated all of your hard work as a father?
Yeah, man. And then I was part of that documentary. I didn't even realize that it was.
That's so funny.
I was in a documentary about fatherhood and didn't realize the timing of it was like for Father's Day because I'm still not used to Father's Day being in November.
Yeah, it's weird.
And I woke up. I was surprised they woke me up breakfast in bed and all that stuff. I was like, I need to get my brain into the fact that Father's Day is in November. But my family took care of me. I appreciate them, and I got like a cool aged beer.
Okay.
That I haven't tasted yet, but it's supposed to be some type of, I don't know, fancy beer. It came in a box.
When
it's encased in cardboard that it's delicious.
Interessant.
Yeah, I'll crack it open with you at some point.
Okay.
I'll save it because you're a great dad.
Oh, is that nice?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like that, yeah. But you're a great dad. They were asking me about fathers I look up to. For that documentary, but they wanted it all in Swedish, so I didn't. But you are somebody that.
So you said me, and they said no. We can't. We don't want to talk about him.
We have had a relationship with Skif Massara.
SPT was like, yeah, we know him. We don't want to talk about him.
Any others? Are there any dads that are like mediocre? We'll take mediocre. Well, how was your Father's Day?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I spent the majority of the day making beef stew on Father's Day. And I got, the best is when when it's your day and you can, but something happens where you get to hang it over someone's head. So like my wife planned this girls trip to Gothenburg.
Shout out to Gothenburg.
Some time ago, without realizing it was Father's Day weekend. So she came home on Sunday, but didn't come home until...
She lived in America for too long too, huh?
Yeah, she came home around 9:30 in the evening. So, so the kids, Saga came home from work and made cupcakes, and we had beef stew, and we chilled out in front of the TV and watched some American football, as they call it here.
The good thing is you didn't have to watch your team on Sunday because they had played on Thursday already.
Exactly.
The bad thing is that they played how they did on Thursday.
That's also true. Again, the Bulldogs saved me from what is an otherwise kind of predictably embarrassing Atlanta Falcons performance. My Bulldogs booked their ticket to the SEC championship this weekend. And they'll be playing the LSU Tigers.
Bulldogs.
And this time I'm not afraid of LSU. I mean, we played LSU for SEC championship back in 2019. That was back when they had Burrow and Chase. and that game was over before it began. But there were I watched LSU play this weekend, and there was one guy in particular. It's going to take about 3 years before we see him in the NFL. But holy shit, they have a linebacker who plays for LSU named Harold Perkins, who is getting ready to take over the linebacker position. This motherfucker.
We do not care.
I'm telling you. You're going to care if he winds up on the Miami Dolphins. You can be like, man, Skip told me about that guy.
Perkins. I got to keep an eye out for Perkins.
Harold Perkins, dude. He's a scary motherfucker. He was good.
This week, there were some great games. It felt like there was no in-between. There were some great games and some shit bowls, deluxe.
I think this was one of the more entertaining weekends of the season so far.
I felt like y'all were in a shit bowl. Let me count shit bowls.
Yeah, that wasn't a good that I was not including that game in my
The Broncos Titans, that was a shit bowl.
True.
The Giants Texans was okay. Saints Steelers, we'll talk about all of these as they come. Colts Raiders, shit bowlish. Interesting because of the storyline behind it, but it was still, as far as quality, you know what I mean? In the words of Tom Brady,
There's a lot of bad football from what I watch.
So I don't know.
That's true.
That's how I felt about it. But we'll get into it, man. Let's start with your boys, man. As far as flip 'em, pick 'em, this week, I won narrowly.
All right.
9-7. We both hit on our upsets. I wish we would have bet, but
that's true.
But it started out with us both missing on games because we thought. I picked first, and I picked the Falcons to beat the Panthers. And you seemed surprised when I made the pick. I was watching back on our picks, and you were like,
Well, I obviously had mixed feelings going into this game.
I don't know why I was so confident.
As I always do. Well, I think you were confident because the Panthers were so bad in the previous game.
They shit the bed really bad, yeah.
The part that made me nervous is that you got two teams who have played each other quite recently, right? A lot of people think the Panthers should have beat the Falcons in the previous game. And not that you need to be a fucking rocket scientist to figure it out. We can't stop the run. So that's precisely the exact same game plan that they were able to employ in this game. But I think maybe... I mean, I don't know. It's like I feel like you have to get the QB stuff out of the way first. I mean, this team.
Damn.
I don't know.
Game. That was his worst game this season.
Yeah, absolutely.
How bad is this Ritter kid? Ritter, right? That's his name?
Yeah, Desmond Ritter, former Cincinnati Bearcat.
I remember him in Cincinnati, and they were talking about. I watched the game. I think I told you this. I watched the game against Miami, and I was like, they were talking about it. And Miami, they took it personal. You know what I'm saying? They focused on him and tried to make him look bad. But he made some throws in that game, and I was like, okay, he'll be a decent quarterback next level. But I'd like to see.
He was quite good in I mean, whatever, it's preseason, but there was that one preseason game he played. I think it may have been the last one where I think he threw a pick on the first play of the game, and then he didn't throw an incompletion until the second half. He kind of he played really well after.
Told you a lot. Told you a lot about it, kid.
He's got a lot of character. So yeah, like I said, Carolina's game plan was virtually identical to the one they used a few weeks ago. They just gave the ball down to Foreman because we can't stop a nosebleed at the moment. The dude had 31 carries.
Yeah.
For 130 yards.
In 2022.
And a touchdown. And then Laviska Shenault. To me, the Laviska Shenault touchdown tells you more about the Falcons than any of the other stuff. He only had 2 carries in the game. But he had 42 yards. And he had this and most of those yards came on 1 carry. It was a long touchdown run. PJ Walker only threw the ball 16 times, which is pretty smart considering how bad he is.
Yeah, he was the second worst quarterback on the field.
But and I'm actually starting to really kind of think that this Steve Wilkes guy might deserve to keep the job.
It's like, oh, is he a good coach? Whoa, imagine that. He was a head coach not too long ago that was ditched for, drum roll, Cliff Kingsbury?
Ridiculous.
A coach that was tied to Josh Rosen.
Right.
Come on, man.
I mean, I've been pretty impressed with what he's managed to do
After losing his best player.
Based on what he has left and losing his best player. He's not going to have to worry about PJ Walker for a while because PJ Walker came up with a high ankle sprain at the end of this game.
And I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so I read yesterday that Baker Mayfield is expected to start for the next several games.
It feels like Wilkes does not like Baker Mayfield.
He is not fooled by all this rah-rah. I mean, that was funny too. A lot of people made fun of Baker Mayfield after this game because after the victory, Baker essentially lined up to like do this celebratory headbutt with all the players coming off the field, but Baker Mayfield wasn't wearing a helmet. And everyone was like, Baker, what are you doing? What's wrong with you?
So Walker's got a sprained ankle and Mayfield's got a concussion.
Moron. Mariota, let's get to that. Mariota was a joke. 19 for 30, 186 yards, 2 touchdown passes to get back into this game. Also had a pick. He nearly threw 3 other interceptions as well. We turned the ball over on downs twice. Once was like late in the game, so that one, whatever, you can excuse that. But the first one was like early fourth quarter, around midfield. We give up a 6-yard sack on 3rd down and then an 8-yard sack on 4th down. It's not quite what you're looking for when you need points. I mean, you do have to give credit to the Panthers defense. I mean, they had 5 sacks in this game.
Yeah.
Right. And if everyone remembers last week, Joe Mixon straight up embarrassed the Panthers defense, ran all over them, over 200 scrimmage yards, 5 touchdowns. The Falcons had no such luck in this game. Cordarrelle only had 18 yards rushing in the entire game.
We won that part of the bet.
Yeah. And as you alluded, I don't know what else to say other than like, I feel this is one of the weeks where I don't want to go a deep dive on a Falcons thing. All I want to say is like, I'm just ready to see Desmond Ritter. We have to know what we have.
That game was the perfect time to put him in. That was because you had no excuse. You couldn't say like then you could give him the first team snaps after that if he comes in and is bad. You know what I'm saying? He needs the first team snaps and all of that. That was the time when Mariota was parallel to the field.
Yeah,
with his knee in the ground, ball lofted up like he was throwing a grenade from a bunker, and. That was the time to take him out. I was like, what is going on? Take him out to show the team this isn't acceptable.
And the only thing that prevented that from being an interception is because he just happened to be down before he let go of the ball.
It should have been. They should have called delay of game on him. You're wasting our fucking time.
I'm actually I'm that's a good point actually. I actually understand why they didn't take him out of this game. But I will say this, I do not understand like why they don't make the switch now moving forward, considering what we just saw. And Arthur Smith, I'm not really sure how to read him. He's a tough one because he's obviously, and maybe this is smart. It makes sense. Like everyone's asking him this question in the post-game interview and also in the Monday morning interview session. And he's reluctant to really answer. He was like, look, I understand this is a popular question. There's a narrative out there, but and he does that coach thing where he answers without answering. He's not an idiot. He has to know that. And especially now, given how shitty the division is, like I know it sounds crazy, but it's like
you're a game out. You're a
game out. You have a chance to win this division, and you're going to lose in the playoffs anyway. So, but that's not the point. Like you play to win. You play to win the game, right? Am I right? I mean, it really does come down to that.
You play to win the game.
That's the great thing about sports. And right now, I feel like if they don't make the switch, I have no choice but to question Arthur Smith's desire to win the game.
Or Ritter's talent.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
If he's not grasping the playbook or something, if they're like, yo, we're going to end up calling every time.
I don't buy that. Are you talking about a guy who played for what was historically one of the best versions? I mean, Cincinnati finished in the top 4 his senior year. They've never been that good before, and they'll probably never be that good again. And you're telling me that this guy can't grasp a playbook? He's not an idiot. Of course he can grasp the playbook. We saw him in preseason. Yeah, it's preseason, but the reality is that we don't know how good any of these guys are until you give them a shot,
they play,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, look at the rest of the league. Taylor Heineke's not necessarily anybody's definition of a franchise quarterback, but he's certainly outplaying the guy who they spent all the money to come in and be the franchise quarterback.
And playing him shows the team that you're all about winning.
And exactly. And sometimes playing the right guy is not necessarily playing the best guy or the one with the most experience. It's the one that gels with the team. You know what I mean? Yeah. Heineke's a great example. Like,
this sounds like an argument for Jordan Love. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah, that's kind of hard argument to make after this week. We'll get into that one later. But let's go ahead and move on to the Seahawks and Bucs game. Germany, baby. Bucs 21, Seahawks 16.
And you thought the Seahawks would win. You picked the Bucs. The Bucs to lose, and the Bucs. I don't know. They got a little spark,
bro. First off, what an atmosphere!
Yes, shout out to Germany. They showed up and showed out, as my family would say.
Germany, man.
Yeah.
My only issue, I think the field was a bit of a travesty. Like, you had people falling down all over the place. I don't know why it was so fucked up, but. Whatever.
Man, I was reading some comments about that, and there was people that were talking about how the field it's a great field, a great pitch for football. It's like, yeah, but they're playing American football. Can we make a great pitch for American football?
I read that most of the players switched out the studs in there.
They said that was the thing to do, get longer studs or whatever.
I don't know. You know, a lot of times in European football, they water down the field before the game.
Time.
Yeah. I wonder if they did that, because there was a lot of everybody was in. It affected both teams a lot. And we'll get to the best part of the best slip of the game in a minute. The game took a while to heat up. Most of the first quarter was punts. But then the party got started when Brady found my man, former Falcon, Julio Jones, for a nice 30-yard touchdown. I was like, there's Julio. Nice to see. I'm not rooting for the Bucs, but I am wishing Julio the best of successes. Bucs D was really good at stopping the run. This Kenneth Walker kid, who everyone's sort of tapping to be potential rookie of the year. God, did he seriously only have 17 yards rushing in this game?
Damn.
I wrote this down, but it's like I almost don't believe it. The Bucs run game, which has been historically bad, we spoke about this a few weeks ago, was pretty good in this game.
Yeah.
Fournette had 14 carries for 57 yards and a touchdown. But honestly, the star of the show was this rookie Rachaad White, who so far has been quite underused. And suddenly he comes up with 22 carries for 105 yards.
That stiff arm.
And that stiff arm was like, he stiff armed that guy. Like,
it looked like beast mode.
That was like
the beast quake run. He just threw that man.
He threw a grown ass man.
Through
the stratosphere into another fucking
He threw him
universe.
into the blue tent on the sideline. That was nasty, man. You know what stat I want to throw out there? Tom Brady, 29 attempts. Let's keep it there, Bucks.
Very smart.
Let's keep it there. It's been 50. Wasn't it 58 last week? Something like that. They've been leaning on Brady so much. But I guess if it's working with the run, then they'll stick with it. Yeah.
The Bucs did give the Seahawks a chance to get back in this game. Brady threw a pick in the second half that led to a Seahawks touchdown. But honestly, the best interception in this game by far was the one where Fournette tried to throw a pass to Tom Brady. Brady slips and falls. Tariq Woolen picks it off, and Brady kicks him and gets a 15-yard penalty. The funny thing was that it was a wildcat snap to Fournette.
Mm-hmm.
They had run the exact same play, either the play right before that or like two before that, I think. And Brady lines up as a wide receiver, and nobody covered Brady.
Yeah.
Like they all knew Fournette was going to run it, so nobody even bothered to cover Brady. So obviously the Bucs were like, "Hey, well, let's run that again and see if we can throw it." And that shit did not work. It was funny as hell.
I feel like they say that some people, like players who are not in the Super Bowl, sometimes don't watch Super Bowls.
Right.
Maybe Fournette is one of those guys that didn't watch the Super Bowl, didn't know that Tom Brady as a receiver is a bad idea, and throwing it to him is not. That's the reason they lost one of the Super Bowls. Right? Remember he drops that little fingertip.
Yeah, but in his defense, that pass was like
it was bad.
It was like a.
But you got to go up there, Tom, terrific Tom, and break it up.
Just because you played with Randy Moss doesn't mean that he can moss somebody. You know what I mean? It's like, let's see, because that's what was required to make that catch.
If he did, though, imagine if he would have done it.
I know
if Brady would have jumped over one hand and just
Isak and I were laughing about it because that's what would have been required for Brady to catch that ball. He would have had to moss that dude because of the way it was thrown.
Brady would have been, if he did it though, he would have come out of the press conference like,
put some respect on my name.
Exactly. I thought the Seahawks made a really nice second half adjustment, especially because they were not able to run the ball very well with Kenneth Walker, but then they made this little tweak where they started throwing it to him in space, right? Little dink and dunk plays, getting him out in space so he had far more receiving yards, but most of them were just like, because they got him out in space and he was able to hustle. And they did manage to get to within like 16-21.
Look at Skip looking at the tape.
Yeah, with a little more than 3 minutes to go. Amazing touchdown catch by Marquise Goodwin.
Yeah.
Amazing. I don't even know how he did that. Like, and the throw was like so on point. It was ridiculous. But then it was just too little, too late. Brady and the Bucs got the ball back. They went on this 9-play drive, ate up the rest of the clock. And honestly, to me, if I could give a secondary MVP, again, you have to go back to the German fans.
Yeah.
And the way that they were like, I mean, they're out there. So I looked this up and apparently they're out there singing John Denver's Country Road.
Yeah.
As the game is being iced with this, with the Bucs first down. Apparently this is a popular, like they have adopted this as like a popular song that they like to sing along to at Oktoberfest.
Oh.
And they've got this song and Sweet Caroline, these kind of songs that are like fun for crowds of people to sing out loud. And the way exactly. And like, even when the game was over and they cut to the NFL Network people like on the sidelines talking about the game, 15, 20 minutes, game's over. Stadium is still full.
Yeah, man.
Still full. Everyone's still there, still singing, still drinking those giant fucking, liters of beer and eating pretzels. And
what it is? Over here in Europe, they know how to watch sports live. And in America, they know how to make a good sports product live. And the two coming together is always amazing. And one great example of that is when Floyd Mayweather fought Ricky Hatton, the English fighter, and all of their fans came over to Vegas to watch this fight. And they turned that boxing match into, and it happened to be a good match too. They turned it into a fucking soccer atmosphere. It was insane. And that's when I fell in love with the way that they watch sports live over here. And so they need more games like that, man. It's great.
Yeah, well, there was I read a report this morning that they're looking into both Spain and France as potential next steps.
Come to Sweden. Oh, Sweden knows how to watch live. No?
Yeah, but there aren't
enough people on.
They probably look at it as not being enough people here. Damn. But I think plenty of people would travel here from the rest of Europe.
But is there a big enough stadium?
You'd have to play it in Gothenburg.
Oh yeah, Ullevi.
Yeah.
I go.
Or I'm pretty sure the one in Solna might be big enough. But they would probably play it like they would very likely, if they were to play a game here, they would play it in Gothenburg. The Vikings played here a long time ago in Gothenburg.
Man, I'm going if it comes here. You know we going to that.
Oh, we got to, bro. We got to do like a whole documentary crew to go with us.
Yeah. Isn't this our week to watch a game live? We could talk about it next episode.
Oh, maybe.
Because we're supposed to like commentate on a game.
Right.
And it's our bye week. I thought it was Dolphins bye week, but we'll figure. I'll look at our schedule.
We'll figure it out.
Let's get to the next game.
Game of the season.
Yeah.
Bro.
I got a lot to say about this game. Okay. Vikings, Bills. I picked the Bills to win, and the Vikings upset the Bills, even though, I don't know, we talked about it, how it's not a crazy, like you said it was what'd you say it was? I can't think right now.
Trap game?
And I was like, no, Vikings are good. They got one of the best records, but they're going to lose, and they did not lose. The Vikings came out.
I like that.
Oh, yeah.
I like it. I like it.
You got to put some spec on his name. I can't read for some reason.
You like that? You
There
like
it
that?
is. He came out slinging that thing. Justin Jefferson.
Lord have mercy.
More on him from me later, of course. But yeah, jeez.
What the numbers in this game are kind of fascinating, especially when you look at the quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins was 30 for 50, 357 yards. Josh Allen was 29 for 43, 330 yards. Both quarterbacks had touchdown passes. Both were 2 picks. But in all honesty, this game, it came down to the fumbles and the timing of those picks.
Yeah.
It is what wound up deciding this game. Josh Allen had a great day rushing the ball, 84 yards. Singletary had 2 touchdowns as well. He hasn't been getting into the end zone that much this year.
We saw old Josh Allen today.
We did. Dalvin Cook.
God.
How much did Dalvin Cook affect this game? A
Man.
monster performance. 14 carries, 119 yards. Most of those yards were on that one play, 81-yard touchdown drive. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Diggs was Diggs, as expected.
Yeah.
But I'm not so sure he can claim to be him, considering the day that Justin Jefferson just gifted us as football fans.
Yeah.
Because I think that he might be him.
He is here. The highlights. I mean, like highlight catch after highlight catch. I was like, man, I've never seen a catch like that in my life. And then I was like, oh shit, that's the best catch I've ever seen in my life. I saw the best catch I've seen in my life 3 times on one drive.
Yeah. It was kind of like, I don't know if you've ever been to Italy, but yes, I remember the first time I ever went to Italy, every day that I ate dinner felt like the best meal I'd ever had in my life. It was like, oh, no, that thing I had yesterday, fuck that. This right here, this is the best thing I've ever had. And then the next day, it just kept topping it. It's so good.
Did you do the super American thing that I did and ask for, can I, you know what, I really want to get some chicken Parmesan?
No, I did not. I did not go
like, what are you?
I did not go off menu. I just rolled with it.
You got a good chicken parm. I love a good chicken parm. Like, if you don't get your American ass out of here. Yeah, but it was a fantastic game. A lot of sparks.
Justin Jefferson had 10 catches for 193 yards.
Oh, man.
1 touchdown, averaging 19.3 yards per catch. I mean, like you said, the toe drag swag TD catch.
The almost interception. That
kind of felt like it was going to be the best play of the game until that one-handed work of art.
Yes.
I mean, I don't even understand. I still, like, I've seen the replay of it several times now. I'm still struggling to understand how it was even possible.
It's like physically. There was it's like the Bills player was pulling the opposite way trying to get the ball, and him pulling his way kept it from hitting the ground. That's the only thing I could think of.
But how, as they're hitting the ground, how it didn't manage to sort of spring loose.
Right.
I understand that those two opposing forces were working against one another, which caused the ball to kind of stay in place. But when they both come crashing to the ground, like how the ball didn't manage to just pop free from that.
Well,
And
according to physics, I mean, I was a physics major in college, and what happened is the defender fucked around and then found out.
It was like an official like physics equation.
He fucked around and then he found out, and that's what it came down to.
All right, let's get to how the Bills managed to blow this game. They're up 27-10 in the third quarter, right? Dalvin Cook, he punches them in the mouth with this one play, 81-yard touchdown drive. Like, what a perfect response at that moment in the game. Josh Allen throws his first pick to Patrick Peterson in the end zone following a long 13-play drive.
Almost hurt himself on the tackle, trying to tackle.
Trying to punch it out. Vikings put together a long drive of their own. They get to within 4 points. Vikings D steps up and forces a 3-and-out, and then the offense drives down the field. But sadly, they turn the ball over on downs on the Buffalo 1-yard line when Buffalo had 12 men on the field. No, that was later. That came later.
Oh.
That came later. That came in overtime.
I was going to say the 12 there. They didn't have 12.
Anyway, they turn the ball over. It seems like it's over. And then Josh Allen fumbles the snap.
It's all by design, man. Kirk Cousins knows what he's doing. He fumbled it there. I mean, he got held short just to set them up, man. No.
I heard the local Vikings radio feed of this play, and it was hilarious. They thought it was a safety. It's a safety. Give us those points. Let's go. And it was like, oh my God, it's a touchdown. Like they were freaking out. So all of a sudden, they recover this fumble in the end zone. Eric Kendricks falls on the ball after Josh Allen drops it, 30-27. But they left Josh Allen 41 seconds to work with.
Don't want to do that.
Which feels like plenty of time, especially, bro, talk about tape heads. Can we have a conversation about the Vikings prevent defense that
why are
they
teams doing this?
You remember they did this last year? This is how the Detroit Lions won their first game of the year last year. You remember that?
Yeah.
And it was against the Vikings, and they were playing 20 yards deep, and they were just giving away 8-yard, 10-yard, 12-yard plays.
It's not like you're up 30.
I was like, I get that you're trying to prevent the deep shot, but bro, what did it take? It took them 5 plays to get into field goal range.
It's crazy, man.
You're going to give Josh Allen not only 15 yards to throw it,
but space to run too.
Plus space to run, plus the opportunity to get to the sidelines.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't understand. I was like, they fucked this up. After the first play, I was like, they keep doing this. This is a field goal for sure.
I was saying the same thing.
It was. And Greg Joseph gets the field goal. They go to overtime. Vikings win the coin toss. But they only manage a field goal. And this is the moment that everybody's talking. So there's 2 moments that were talked about. Mm-hmm. They get down close to scoring a touchdown. I think they were on the 4-yard line. They hand the ball off to Dalvin Cook. He gets stuffed. They decide to kick a field goal. And it wasn't until later after the game that they realized, when everybody watched the tape, the Bills had 12 dudes. Not just one guy who couldn't manage to get off the field. They literally had 12 players lined up and stopped them.
I thought Boger was a good referee, man, but no, he wasn't.
He had the week off, actually.
Yeah.
I checked him.
I thought he must have been. I was like, if this is his crew.
It wasn't only that.
Gabe Davis catch.
Exactly. Luckily, this game ended the way it did, because if it didn't, this would have been a huge controversy, because you had 12 men on the field. Plus, when the Bills worked their way down the field, that Gabe Davis catch was not a catch.
I said it then when I was like, oh no, yeah. They're gonna bring that back. They didn't even look at it.
Yeah.
And the clock was stopped. It's not like the clock was running and they had to go put the ball down.
Mm-mm. No. But the NFL, they need to send Josh Allen some sort of a thank you card or something, because he managed to sort of remove any kind of controversy. 2nd and 10, Vikings 20-yard line. He steps back, goes for the money shot when all he needed was a first down, and Patrick Peterson picks him off for the second time in the game for the win. This is the 4th end zone interception for Josh Allen in 2 games.
Forcing it now. He started feeling himself. I feel like he's reverted back to his old stuff. Like he's like running a little earlier than than he started doing. And early in his career, he would be confused as a younger quarterback does, and then just go to the run. You know what I mean? Or if they can't move, then they do the check down real quick.
Right.
And it feels like he's back to that. This is like year 2 Josh Allen instead of year 4 and 5 Josh Allen that we were seeing.
I think they play the Colts next week, so I'm sure they'll be fine.
I don't know, man.
Or no, actually, sorry, they don't. Wait, they have a crazy game next week. I read this morning. We'll get to that in the next episode, but they're predicting like 2 feet of snow during the Buffalo game this week.
Oh, yeah, they're playing the Browns.
The Browns, right.
All right.
I feel like I learned something about the Vikings in this game. Like they might actually be a little better than we give them credit for.
Yep.
And for those of you who have the ability to go back and watch this game, the 40-minute, go watch the 40-minute version. This might be the best game of the entire season. It was amazing.
Of the season?
So far.
We had some good games this year. Damn, that's a bold statement.
Mm-hmm.
That was my chance to hit that. We actually have the bold statement button, but
that's a bold statement.
Oh well, I lost the moment.
Just hit the
bold statement.
No, you did. It's never too late for the moment.
Then there's Lions and Bears. This continued our streak of picking wrong. You chose the Bears to win this game. How dare you? You picked that.
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?
People are talking about
in all honesty,
Fields.
I was assuming that the Lions would not be able to stop Justin Fields from running around the field, and that turned out to be true.
Yeah,
because that motherfucker ran his ass off. 13 carries for 147 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. Add that to his.
It's because he can't read a defense. Like they're talking all of this stuff about Justin Fields. I'm over here concerned because this dude, he can run. It's beautiful. It's fun and all of that stuff. What happens when when you play a defense that could stop the run? He went against 2 bad defenses in a row in Miami and Detroit, and now he's gonna end up playing a real. Defense.
Well, it won't happen this week because he's playing against my Atlanta Falcons, who cannot stop the run.
So it might be the same.
He might have 500 yards rushing in this.
No, they might be ready for a scrambling quarterback. You know what I'm saying? More than these last 2 teams, but regardless, they need to talk about why this dude, when it's time for him to throw, he can't make the throws.
Well, that did wind up being a pretty game-deciding situation in the game when he threw a pick 6 to his old Ohio State teammate Jeff Okudah. Actually, was obviously a lot of things you could consider the difference in this game, but that one, because say what you will about Jared Goff, he was clean. Yeah. He was clean. The Bears were up 24-10.
Yeah.
At one point in this game when the Lions stepped up and scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. They had a 4-play, 55-yard touchdown drive followed by the pick 6 to tie it. Justin Fields scores on a 70-yard run. That was hilarious. He throws a pick 6 and then immediately after the pick, he goes on this 70-yard run. Yeah. But with 5 minutes left, Jared Goff led the Lions on an 8-play, 91-yard touchdown drive that ended with a Jamal Williams touchdown and the 31-30 lead. Off. Somebody missed an extra point in this game too, which I think Cairo Santos, that also wound up making a big difference in this game. He missed the extra point after that 70-yard touchdown run.
Yes, it's gonna come back and bite you when you miss it. And
shout out to the line. I mean, that last play, that play that basically ended the game, they almost sacked him 3 times before they managed to finally sack him. I mean, you just thought this game was over. And Fields kept slipping and juking and moving, and then it was just like, oh my god!
And this was the time it was like he had to get 7 yards, I believe. And he slips that guy, and then he starts looking downfield, and that slowed him up just enough for everybody to catch up to him. When he slips, I think it was the second time he slipped a tackle, and he's almost got out of the last grip, and then the refs for his safety blew the whistle because he didn't go to the ground, and it was like
I think you make an interesting point. He's a very fun quarterback to watch right now, but there's a problem there that I think a lot of people aren't talking about.
Yeah, because it's sexy,
right? But if you're a true tape head like Jonathan Rollins. You can see past the sexy
Yeah.
and see the issues.
Yeah, man.
And sometimes sexy with issues. I mean, like I can think of a number of women that I've dated who I thought were sexy and had some real serious issues. And
Yeah, exactly.
it's fun, but it always ends badly.
Yeah.
When you roll with sexy with issues. Right?
Yes, every time.
Sexy with issues never ends well.
So remember that, Bears fans.
It's a fair point. I hadn't thought of it that way.
Speaking of issues, Nathaniel Hackett's team, the Broncos, had me hoping for, because our bet is pretty much dead in the water out in the abyss. And I thought for sure the Broncos were going to give us some hope and take down these Titans in a much-needed victory. But Nathaniel Hackett.
Plenty of issues, but nothing sexy here. I don't know what to say about this game other than it did not get a lot of pop on red zone.
No.
Mostly because I think it took 9 punts between these two teams before they finally got into the end zone. The Broncos took a 7-0 lead, but after that, it was like a field goal right before the halftime was all they could really manage. Neither team could run the ball. Derrick Henry only had 53 yards rushing.
Yeah, Broncos got good
which is almost as much as the Broncos running backs had combined, which is kind of funny. Tannehill was back.
Yeah,
wasn't great.
Yeah, that would have been the difference, man. Shit.
But he did what he had to do, and he did not turn the ball over. He was 19 for 36, 250 yards, 255 yards, 2 touchdown passes, both of which went to this man. How good was this Nick Westbrook-Akina? He had himself an afternoon. 8 targets, 5 catches, 119 yards, 2 touchdowns. 63-yard catch and run on one of them. It was nice. This dude, I barely heard of him. He was balling the fuck out.
Well, I want to shout out Chigoziem Okonkwo.
Did he used to play for the Packers? Nick Westbrook-Akina? No.
I want to shout out Chigoziem Okonkwo.
Okay.
No, I just want to say that name.
I'm glad it's you calling him out because I don't think I'll be able to say that.
I just wanted to shout him out just to try to say the name. Pretty cool name. 1 catch, 41 yards. I don't remember when he made the catch. So I just wanted to say that name. Chigoziem Okonkwo.
This is a really interesting situation for the Broncos, because it's like, you went out and got this guy, Russell Wilson, the guy who's supposed to kind of make a difference in this franchise. And, they have a chance to kind of tie this game late. He leads the Broncos on a 10-play, 50-yard drive, but with 20 seconds left on the clock. From the Titans' 25-yard line, he tries to hit Cortland Sutton, and boom, Terrence Mitchell steps up and says, "Give me that fucking ball. This ball game is over."
Yeah.
There is something really weird going on here. I don't know if it's like, I can't figure out if it's like, are we seeing just the drop off of Russell Wilson? Is it the marriage between him and the coach that's not working? Is it like, is it the play call?
I think
I can't figure it out.
Every player on that team should be given a pass this year. Just like, if you look good, even better for you. If you look bad, Nathaniel Hackett is the problem. I think he's got the team underprepared every week. He's lost, and teams take on the personality of the coach.
Right.
So I think it's all him, man. I don't know.
But what I'm wondering is if it could possibly be the other way around.
Oh, it could be Russell.
You know what I mean? And like maybe Pete Carroll knew something that we didn't know. Like we all thought he was crazy, Pete Carroll. Like,
oh, you mean just regarding Russell Wilson?
Yeah, like maybe the team is being forced to take on Russell Wilson's personality, and that's not working out. You know what I mean? Like I
don't give the quarterback that much credit on a team.
Right.
Especially when we see this dude who brought in a damn, what's it called? In-game manager or whatever. It's like,
that does not appear to be
working out. Tell me you're not ready to be a coach without telling me you're not ready to be a coach. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
But the next game was the Jaguars and the Chiefs. The you picked the Chiefs for some reason, and they won that game. The Jaguars, they tried to hang in there a little bit, but
I thought it was funny how they started off the game by successfully like orchestrating and recovering an onside kick, the first play of the game. That was kind of funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you probably feel like, as a coach, you're going up against the Chiefs. It's like, we need all the extra possessions we can get.
Yeah, get the ball second half too. Yeah,
it didn't really matter. I think they had like 2 or 3 extra possessions in the first half, but the Chiefs completely dominated. Yeah. Mahomes went 26 for 35, 331 yards, 4 touchdown passes. They were up 20. You had all those extra possessions in the first half, and still you're down 20-0 at halftime. The Chiefs lost Juju in this one. Big time, scary hit. Kind of want it like the Tua thing where his hands come up. It's all, that shit is fucked up. Sucks for him because he was just starting to become like one of their more reliable weapons that you could start to count on week after week. Have no idea the extent of the concussion or when he'll be back. But luckily for them, the rest of the NFL let the Chiefs go out there and pick up Kadarius Toney for a pack of cigarettes. Yeah. I mean, everyone's like, he sucks. He's not good. Yeah, just let's see how good he is when he plays with an elite quarterback. He had a touchdown catch.
Mahomes, man.
You do have to give some credit to T-Law and Associates for fighting back in this one. Yeah. He went 29 for 40, 259 yards, a couple of touchdown passes. Both of them went to Christian Kirk, who had a hell of a game. Mm-hmm. But when you get behind if you're down 20-0 to the Chiefs, it's a lot to ask to catch up. I mean,
that's
Jags. One team the Jags are like this week after week. They have periods of the game where they seem feisty, but if you can't play a full 60 minutes, you're not ready to go toe to toe with a team like the Chiefs.
No, they're like invite only. It's like you can't come to this party. Sorry, right. Can't get in.
You can be our homecoming game, the one that we just absolutely have to win.
Yeah. Then we got the Browns played the Dolphins. Don't need to say much about that. Then we got the
Okay, before you dive in, I want to set the narrative because this was the matchup that everyone was waiting for. Okay.
Oh yeah, the Jacoby Brissett get back game, the revenge game. Oh,
this was my man, former Bulldog Nick Chubb versus your man, NC State former Wolfpacker Bradley Chubb, cousins going at it, opposite teams.
Yeah.
Everybody was waiting for this cousin matchup. Everybody was talking about it.
No. I don't think I was waiting to see if they would if he would tackle him. It never happened. He never got to tackle him. But the Dolphins did do some good tackling.
I bet they traded jerseys after the game.
Oh yeah, probably.
Chubb.
Chubb got held to his worst game of the season though. That Dolphins run defense showed up. They really focused on the run game, and Chubb ended up with, he had one big run, beautiful run for a touchdown, which made us push the stats up a bit. But he only had 63 yards. He's the best running back in football, so I was proud of my Dolphins. They didn't only a couple times when I was like, where was that Jacoby Brissett last year? There were a couple times I said that, but for the most part, Dolphins defense kind of hung in there, man.
One of my questions as I was watching the game that I couldn't wait to ask you was like, how excited are you to see how Jeff Wilson has managed to fit into this team?
God. The 1-2 punch of Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert, it's a change of pace, different style, but Wilson, he reads his keys so nice, and the way he runs and the way that line is blocking for them too, that zone blocking is just falling into place. The motion now with the when that fullback who's balling too, what's in the Ingold or Alec Ingold. Mm-hmm. They bring him in motion too, and it's
also had a touchdown in this game, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a touchdown. He had another nice catch, showing some balance. So I was like, man, these. And then goes without saying. Tua's willing and dealing. Man, I had me a great Sunday. It was the most relaxed football party we had all year, where it's just like over, we chilling. We've had to sit through some crazy comebacks and all of that stuff, and some bad games too. Went under Bridgewater and fucking Skylar Thompson, whatever. So it was nice to have a relaxing Sunday. The Browns tried their best, and it just was one of those games where they were just outmatched, and it felt good to be on that side of it. And now there's all this talk of Tua for MVP and all of that stuff, and it feels good to get that redemption for the player that gets so much. It's so polarizing for some reason.
Right.
This love or hate thing for Tua. But the Browns focused on and limited Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and Tua was still dealing.
It didn't matter.
It did not matter.
It just didn't matter. It didn't matter at all.
Sherfield out here. It's spread around so much. If you look at the stats over here, 8 players with receptions.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. And he's at the top of all statistics, all quarterback statistics. He's in the top 5.
I feel like the image in this game that kind of tells me everything I need to know about how it must feel to be a Dolphins fan right now is that image of Jeff Wilson breaking off that huge run, and Tyreek Hill.
Like, let's go.
Tyreek Hill at first is like facing the defender as if he's going to block him. Yeah. But then when he realizes, oh, I don't need to block him.
Yeah, we're too fast.
And he turns around and he's just running alongside, almost sideways, like shuffling, like crossover. And he's just like, let's go.
Yeah, man.
And Jeff Wilson puts his arm around Tyreek's neck and they go slamming into the wall together. I was like, this is fucking, man. I felt good for you. When I saw that, I was like, that's fucking fun as shit.
And I was glad Tyreek got him a touchdown. I didn't understand the celebration. It looked like he was going to shake the referee's hand, and she wanted no parts of it. Then he lays on the ground and all stuff. It was like,
and pretends to have a heart attack.
Yeah. And then they resuscitate him and all that.
But shout out to that female. That was a female ref.
Yeah.
And she was smart enough to put her hands behind her back.
Yep.
And shake her head. And be like, motherfucker, you trying to get me fired? Get the hell away from me.
Did you see the referee getting Mike Evans' autograph? Huh? Exchanging cash.
She almost looked a little pissed at Tyreek, like, fuck you.
Come on, man.
You know?
Come on, what you trying to do, man? This is my livelihood.
What's wrong with you? What's wrong with y'all?
What's wrong with y'all?
Yeah.
You niggas are crazy.
Shout out to her, man.
Shout out to her. But yeah, I feel good as a Dolphins fan. I don't know. Now I'm at the point where I'm just like, yeah, my team's one of the best in the NFL. All right, on to the the Texans played the Giants in a barn burner of a game. I'll never forget this game. I don't know about you, but
I barely remember it actually.
Yeah, same.
It did not. I did not really capture my attention. Yeah, I picked the Giants. I mean, after a nice 10-play opening drive by the Giants that led to a touchdown, this kind of turned into one of those games that, you can only love it if punters get you wet. This is one of those. Daniel Jones certainly was not making anybody wet, going 13 for 17, 197 yards.
Saquon had a day.
He did have 2 touchdown passes. Saquon is Saquon. 35 carries, 152 yards and a touchdown.
I'm always glad when he's balling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel both like happy for, but also sad for a guy like Dameon Pierce, who is again another candidate for Rookie of the Year, just playing on an absolutely horrible football team. He was great. He did have an unfortunate fumble in this game. Followed up by Davis Mills' interception at a key moment, which didn't help either. The Giants keep winning, and I still don't really believe them as a winning team.
Not at all.
Again, I do have faith in Brian Daboll. He seems great.
Yeah. I feel like he's gonna have to. Well, he's probably shopping anyway in his head for the next quarterback.
Got to.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Unfortunately, they'll probably won't have a good draft pick. So, I see them as a free agency candidate.
Yeah, exactly.
Like try to
go ahead, get Rodgers.
I'm pretty sure Carson Wentz might be available.
That's just what they need. They should get Jordan Love. Then we had the Saints play the Steelers. I called this motherfucking upset. I knew it was gonna happen. I picked the Steelers. I got my 3 points. They did beat the Saints, and I don't know. It was just kind of off a bye week, better coach. It was that type of thing.
How bad does Andy Dalton have to be to lose to Kenny Pickett in a game where Kenny Pickett goes 18 for 30? 199 yards and 0 touchdown passes. How fucking bad do you have to be?
Andy Dalton bad?
I mean,
the Steelers,
but
they have a good defense.
That's true. And TJ Watt was back.
Mm-hmm.
Which helped them to hold hair on fire. Alvin Kamara only had 26 yards on 8 carries.
Yeah.
The Steelers had 20 points in this game. Kenny Pickett didn't throw any touchdown passes.
Mm-hmm.
So most of you are probably wondering, well, where did they get their touchdowns from? Jonathan, I'm glad you asked that question.
Here we go.
Because this party got started right with a 22-yard touchdown rush from my man, former Bulldog, George Pickens, taking that shit to the house for a 7-0 lead. Let's fucking go. How hot was that? How hot was that?
It was hot. It was hot.
Pickens
man.
was hot in this game.
Yeah. I like him, man. I picked him to be Rookie of the Year before the season started. So it's not like I'm rooting against him, but good on them, man. I feel like they've figured out who they are, the Steelers. And that's what it's going to be. They're going to be outclassed sometimes, and it's going to be like, well, they maximize their talent.
Look, the real story is that this was a shitty football game between two below average football teams, but one team was just shittier than the other team. The score was 10-10 at the half.
Yeah.
The Steelers were having issues with missed field goals from what I think was a backup kicker, if I'm not mistaken.
What's up with all these kicker injuries?
I don't know. But it didn't matter. It didn't matter. It didn't matter because the Saints second half possessions. Punt, interception, turnover on downs, interception, ball game.
Damn.
That was their second half.
I picked before the year coach of the year. I was wrong.
The Saints dominated the time of possession in the second half with these long clock-eating drives. Najee Harris had a good day, finally. He's had an up-and-down year. The Steelers had 28 first downs. You know how many the Saints had? 10. 10.
I'm sorry.
And 10 first downs. That's exactly how many penalties they also had in the game. The Saints 10 penalties for 74 yards. Both of these teams, awful.
I feel like somehow it was Nathaniel Hackett's fault.
I'm sure we could figure out a way to draw it back to that. These are both 3-win teams with nothing special to say about either one of them. To be honest, they're both trash. But one team has my man, former Bulldog George Pickens, and the other one doesn't. So that's really the difference. That's all I have to say about that. That's the last time I'll address it.
That'll be the last time that I address it.
Then we got the Colts and the Raiders, man. Everybody doubted my boy, future coach of the year, Jeff Saturday. He came away. Jeff Saturday said, you know what? I'm from high school and I'm going to win this motherfucking game because I'm a winner. He's like, I might not know what I'm doing. You saw that press conference? I might not know shit, but I know I'm going to try hard. Like, let me coach in.
You know what? I actually I like that speech that he gave before the game to the press because I think
it's like, if I suck, I get fired.
I felt like his speech to the press was essentially the way I think have always thought of my own personal career. He was like, look, I got 8 games here. I might be pretty good at this, but I might be awful, in which case I'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
But I tell you one thing, I'm not going to back down. I was like, you know what? Let go do your thing.
You still,
as you suggest,
and you picked the Raiders.
I did. I did not have faith in Jeff Saturday.
Because you said it was on a Sunday, which made
correct
perfect sense.
It makes no sense that someone named Saturday should be working on a Sunday. This game had so much narrative going into it. The whole Jeff Saturday situation, the no experience.
Yeah.
You had the dude calling plays who has never done this before in his life. Right before, I think it was the day before, or maybe the day of the game, they announced that Matty Ice had been reactivated as Sam Shitstain Ellinger's backup. And then Jeff Saturday threw the curveball right before the game and said that Matt Ryan was back to being the new starting quarterback.
It's like somebody got to have experience.
Poor Frank Reich. I've actually felt bad for Frank Reich.
Me too. This seemed like a hit job.
I'm convinced that the owner forced him to bench Matt Ryan. And then you bring in the new guy and it's like, oh, suddenly Matt Ryan's allowed to play? You made me play with fucking shitstain Ellinger and I get fired? Fuck you.
It feels like a hit job, man. This was a way to take him out, make this situation as rough as possible. Then you can justify firing him. And then you're going to eat that contract just to keep Jeff Saturday there?
Who knows? It's one game. We'll see how it goes. But I will say this. My man, former Falcon, Matty Ice did not waste his second chance opportunity. Dude went 21 for 28, 222 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks, only got sacked 1 time, had 38 yards rushing and a rushing touchdown.
I saw that, man. He's about to slide now. That's how slow he's running. He looks so slow.
Me and Isak jumped up off the couch. I was like, whoa, Matty Wheels on the loose.
Yeah, I knew Matty Wheels was coming out. 9.5 yards per rush.
Exactly.
Yeah, out there with them Jeff Wilson numbers.
Yeah.
Looking like Saquon.
Well, speaking of rushing, Jonathan Taylor was back. So whatever Jeff Saturday said to the offensive line, which has been playing like absolute dog shit this season, they managed to create a scenario where Jonathan Taylor had 22 carries for 147 yards and a touchdown. It was very much a back and forth affair. Carr had a pretty decent day, almost 250 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. Devontae Adams, Jesus Christ. What was that? That touchdown, he had 126 yards and a touchdown. Yeah. And that one, he catches it. Was it like a crossing route or something? And he's jiving his way to the goal line and had to like blast through those 2 guys to get in. That was nice.
Carr's stat line was 24 for 38, 248 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 37 tears in the press conference.
Yeah, exactly. That's an interesting conversation, actually.
Yeah.
But after the Raiders took this 1-point lead, they let Matt Ryan come out here and light up the Las Vegas sky with 35-yard shot to Paris Campbell that allowed the Colts to win this game. Raiders got the ball back with 5 minutes. They put together a 14-play drive, but on 4th and 7, the Colts sitting on the Colts 16-yard line. Carr tried to hit Adams in the end zone, and Stephon Gilmore just wasn't having it.
Yeah.
Colts win, and this press conference you alluded to.
Wait, the fans were yelling fire Josh McDaniels.
Yeah. The press conference was fascinating. I feel like I want to go back and I've listened to it since I guess I heard it yesterday for the first time. And he goes into this thing. First of all, he apologizes for being emotional, which is always kind of interesting.
I hate that when they do that.
You know what's funny?
You gotta be a man.
When I was watching this, it made me like when you see this kind of stuff in a movie, it always looks so much cooler in a movie than it does in real life.
Yeah. Right?
First of all, the acting's better. Second of all, the lighting is usually better. And third of all, it usually comes accompanied with some soft kind of inspirational music in the background as you begin to apologize for being emotional. You know, that music that just kind of lifts you up.
You want to hear it?
But
I got it here.
Do it, please, because I don't remember exactly what he said.
Here's what he said.
Nation for just where this team stands right now. I can't speak for everybody. I know where I stand, and I love the silver and black. I'm going to give it everything I can every time I go out there. And I can't speak for everybody, for every man, what's going on in their head. But I can tell you what's going on in my head, and I'm going to give it all that I can every single time.
Uh-oh. Come on. Put yourself together, Derek. It's okay.
Derek, I'm going to ask this with the utmost respect. Is there, in any way, a disconnect with what you're trying to do and this new staff as far as the system?
I don't think so. I love.
It's a loaded question.
I love I love our coaches. They've had nothing but success. Way more success than I've ever had.
What?
And
He's talking about when he was Patriots.
I'm sorry.
Here it comes. Here's the part.
Sorry for being emotional. I'm just pissed off.
Uh-oh.
About some of the things, that a lot of us try and do just to practice. What we put our bodies through just to sleep at night.
He's supposed to bang on the podium.
And for that to be the result of all that effort pisses me off. Pisses a lot of guys off. It's hard knowing what some guys are doing. Like I said, just to practice what they're putting in their body just to sleep at night. Just so we can be there for each other. And I wish everybody in that room felt the same way about this place. And as a leader, that pisses me off, if I'm being honest.
Well, be honest. All right.
I think there were a lot of interesting comments in that.
It's a little bit like it's cryptic, too.
A lot of cryptic stuff, what these players are putting in their body to be able to practice.
Right.
That feels like that needs a little bit of clarification. Also, a lot of
we talking about practice, not a game, not a game,
exactly.
not a game. We talking about practice.
Also, the way, because he felt he needed to speak in these kind of cryptic ways.
It's a divided locker room. That's what it comes down to.
Well, there's a fair amount of opportunity to kind of perhaps maybe misinterpret what he's saying. Or maybe not misinterpret at all to make the proper implication that he's calling people out without saying their names out loud. I think that locker room is completely torn apart.
Yeah. And it begins with the quarterback, Derek, that fucking guy, Carr.
And it's funny. I feel bad because obviously he's having an emotional moment, but the way he delivers that speech, I have difficulty not laughing at him when he's doing the things the players are putting in the body. When he has a weird accent.
Yeah, I was like, is he from Texas? Oklahoma?
But the thing is that his accent, it comes and goes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not.
When he becomes a coach, he's gonna have a really full on Southern. One day he's gonna be a coach. Y'all get it together now. Spitting tobacco.
Maybe that's what happens when he gets emotional. I know that when I get drunk,
he's from Bakersfield, California.
Yeah.
He was talking like he's from Oklahoma. Some of that.
When I drink, my Southern accent tends to come back.
When I'm at home, my accent gets thick.
Right.
But it's Miami's not really a Southern accent so much.
No, you guys got your own thing going on.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing, yeah. All right, then we got the Cowboys-Packers. Cowboys off a bye week. McCarthy is one of the best coaches ever in the NFL. And his seat's not hot, right? How can they lose to the reeling Packers? And then they did it. I was wrong picking the Cowboys to win. Packers came out and looked like they're ready to go. Like
they decided not to write back.
Yeah, everybody wrote them off.
They wrote me off. I ain't right back though.
And it was Rodgers hasn't had the relaxed vibe all season. He's had the what the fuck is happening over here vibe. And it felt like the post-relax Rodgers was out there from that season when he was relax, and then they went almost to the Super Bowl. So the Packers looked really good, man.
This was interesting because it started out.
Defense.
Yeah, it started out looking like the kind of game that you expected it to be. I mean, the Cowboys started with this long 17-play, 8.5-minute long drive that ended with a CeeDee Lamb touchdown. And then things just went kind of bananas for the rest of the first half. Rodgers got strip sacked on his own 17-yard line. But then 3 plays later, Dak throws an interception in the end zone to Rudy Ford. 3 plays later, Rodgers throws a moonshot 58-yard touchdown bomb to Christian Watson to tie the game. And then on the next drive, Dak throws another pick to Rudy Ford that he returned all the way to the 24-yard line. 3 plays later, Aaron Jones is going into the end zone. I was like, what the hell is going on here?
Do we have a whack Prescott alert?
We might.
They were winning without him. It's like wondering.
He needs to hang out with Whack Taylor, Taylor, and Whack Prescott.
Yeah, they might be when he gets dropped from the team.
Aaron Jones had a hell of a day, 138 yards and a touchdown. I mean, Dak, to his credit, he did kind of pull his shit together and played pretty well for the rest of the game. It was 14-14 at the half. The Cowboys took over the second half with back-to-back touchdown drives.
You mean
one
the
from Pollard.
Packers?
No, the Cowboys, like they scored back-to-back touchdown drives.
Okay. I'm sorry.
In the second half, but then they were up. What weren't they up like 28-14 at one point? And that was when Rodgers took them on back-to-back touchdown drives. Christian Watson, again, his 3 touchdowns altogether.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about having yourself a day.
I hadn't heard of this dude.
Well, I remember him from week 1. That touchdown catch that he had, the long,
the crazy one.
In this game, that catch, that nearly 60-yard touchdown grab where he caught it over his shoulder and and had it in stride, he dropped a pass exactly like that in week 1.
Okay.
And everybody was like, what the fuck is going on here? But he's obviously been practicing, so you can say what you want about practice, but practice makes perfect, my friend.
Then they went overtime.
I didn't really see the end of this game live. A lot of people are sort of throwing out this funny meme that, it's been decades since Mike McCarthy was able to make decisions that helped the Packers win a football game. Did you see something that
I don't know what they're talking about. No, I watched it like in the I didn't see all of the situational stuff. So I don't know what they're talking about with that.
Maybe it was just a fun thing to dunk on him because I didn't. It's not like I heard anything specific that he did. But yeah, the Packers were able to pull it out in overtime. They turned the Cowboys over on downs in overtime, and then Rodgers had a deep shot to Lazard plus a couple of little runs here and there. They get into field goal range, and that was.
Oh, it looks like he decided not to try a field goal. He went for it on 4th down, basically. I mean,
was that it?
Yeah.
Okay, so they got turned over on downs. Yes. I don't know where they were at that point.
It would have been a 53-yard kick. I don't know. Second guessing that stuff. It's like, if he misses the kick, they're like, why didn't you go for it? You know what I mean? I don't know about that.
Right. Well, I don't know, man. I mean, I think this is a great win for the Packers, but they still have so much ground to catch up at this point. It's probably,
especially with the Vikings winning a game that they weren't even favored in. It's like
it feels like it's too little, too late.
But the NFC, they're still in the NFC.
True.
And a lot of shitty teams over there. I don't think it's been this lopsided in a long time.
Speaking of shitty teams.
Man, you picked this upset. Somehow everybody thought the Rams would win this game because Kyler Murray wasn't going to be playing. And then Colt McCoy came out and was like the Texas gunslinger that he is.
Right. Well, we also had no Matthew Stafford, no Kyler Murray. Oh, yeah. So we had the John Wolford versus Colt McCoy
extravaganza.
And they were out there slinging it, these guys. Credit to them. They didn't hold back. Colt McCoy was 26 for 37, 238 yards, a touchdown, no picks. Wolford, on the other hand, was 24 for 36, 212 yards, 1 touchdown and a pick and a fumble.
They said Colt is now the starter. Like, no more Kyler Murray's bench for the rest of the season. So
Stop it.
Throwing it out there.
That is not true. Cooper Kupp was probably the biggest devastating news in this game.
What a surprise.
3 catches for -3 yards and an ankle sprain that took him out. I'm being told by my people on the ground right now, I can hear them, Cooper Kupp will be placed on IR and will be having ankle surgery.
Oh.
Ankle surgery that will take him at least 6 to 8 weeks to recover from. So that's not good news for the Rams.
Oh, man.
Maybe that racist quarterback will finally start throwing the ball to Allen Robinson.
Free and Allen the top Robinson. Receiver is Tyler Higbee that game.
Of course it is.
You know.
So I guess.
What a surprise.
I guess he's
Wolfer's racist too.
Yeah. Oh, gee, who's that tall white fella?
I don't know, but he deserves a football.
Who's that tall glass of milk?
Tall glass of 3% milk.
But Colt McCoy.
Milk. Did you get that? Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Colt McCoy, DeAndre Hopkins' numbers didn't drop off because of Colt McCoy. He had a lovely game, 98 yards on 10 receptions. Rondale Moore had a day with 94 yards. He's been really good the last couple of weeks.
Aren't they 2-1 since Hopkins came back?
I think so, yeah.
I just said. I don't know, man. The Rams pissed me off because we picked them to win the division, and it looks like it's not going to happen.
This is important because I learned something in this game.
Uh-oh.
Okay? If we need any more evidence that Cliff Kingsbury listens to this podcast.
Okay.
Cliff Kingsbury listens to SveNFL.
Of course he does.
And you know why I know he listens to the SveNFL?
Why?
And I saw it right before my eyes. Look no further than Cardinals' second touchdown under the day to none other than my man, former Bulldog, AJ Green. I told you this team needed some more AJ Green pop. I fucking told you.
You did say that.
I told you. Told you they needed some more AJ Green pop up in this motherfucker. And they were like, you know what, that guy, let's try that.
All right. Enough about that shit bowl. The Chargers played the 49ers. I didn't think this was that fun of a game either. Right?
No.
I was like, I dozed off and then woke back up. So I watched most of this game live. I was just like up, you know what I mean? And then I'm here on the couch anyway. And then I was just watching it. And then, it put me back to sleep.
It's weird. I feel like we're waiting. Like, because, McCaffrey shows up for the 49ers on a week where Deebo Samuel didn't play. Like McCaffrey's first game, I think Deebo was out of the game. And I remember everything went so well for them. And I remember everyone was essentially saying like, oh my God, could this team, those weapons, Deebo comes back. But I feel like I haven't seen it. Like, I don't, maybe Deebo came back a little too early or something, or maybe it starts to gel. I'm not sure, but I mean, it took a second half performance by the 49ers defense to win this game. Yeah. I mean, they completely blanked the Chargers in the second half, only allowing 57 total yards. They forced multiple punts, a turnover on downs, an interception as well. Justin Herbert, I mean, he was not good in this game. And suddenly what was supposed to be the next NFL boy wonder is really, not looking so hot at the moment.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, exactly. He did get knocked the fuck out in this.
It feels like maybe if you have two really good wide receivers and they both end up hurt, your performance is going to drop off.
I've heard that.
This is like it's not just quarterbacks. And then in the case of Tua too, it's the same thing. He didn't have weapons, and now Herbert was strapped down without weapons, and then it's like, what you gonna do? Put up 16 points?
Yeah, I mean Jimmy G wasn't much to write home about either. He's
looking like ass this year.
Neither team was special, but one team made fewer mistakes. Really, that's what it led to, or what it came down to. McCaffrey scored a fourth quarter touchdown to take the lead, and after that, the Chargers went 3-and-out punt, turnover on downs, interception.
You know what?
And that was the ball
I don't
game.
want to get personal, Skip, but I told you these fucking 49ers are going to win that division. Just throwing it out there. Told you, man. And you talked me into the Rams.
Well,
the bloated contract as Rams.
I know. I have a thing with Kyle Shanahan. I deeply want him to fail, and so it's probably you shouldn't listen to me on that.
It don't matter. Seahawks gonna win the division anyway.
Yeah, it's funny.
Then we got the Monday night game, upset of the week. The Eagles lost to the Washington Commanders, and it shocked everybody. But it didn't shock me that much, especially when I watched it. What it made me think is, first of all, Ron Rivera is a really good coach.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, that team will go to bat for Taylor Heineke, like you said, more than Carson Wentz. And I think if Carson Wentz is playing, they might lose this game.
Oh, for sure.
But the Eagles came out, as they always do, looking really sharp at the beginning of the game. And then they hit a slump in the middle of the game. But normally they're far enough ahead to stave off any comebacks. But this time, Washington never took their foot off the gas.
This was one of those games that you had circled on the calendar when it came out, mostly because this was going to be Carson Wentz going back to play Monday Night Football in Philly.
Yeah.
But right now, I have to say, like, I'm here for this Taylor Heineke ride. He clearly has this team fighting.
I got to think about that. Heineke, it's like Carson Wentz. His ceiling is way higher than Heineke, and his valleys are way lower. So Heineke is kind of in between, and sometimes you're gonna lose because Heineke just can't play at a certain level. So it's almost like a crapshoot if you were to go with Wentz, because he might lose you a fucking game big time, but he could look so amazing sometimes.
Right.
And it might be just better for the coach to just go with this guy Heineke, who's got a really good relationship with McCain.
I honestly don't think that there's any way it's starting to be asked, because it appears that Carson Wentz is getting to the point where he's healthy enough to play football. And so reporters are asking what happens next. I don't think they go back to Carson Wentz. I really don't.
I think they should not. No, they should.
I mean, they're already using images. I think maybe I mentioned this last week. I meant to. If I didn't, they're using images of Taylor Heineke to sell season tickets for next year.
Oh, wow.
Like at the stadium when they throw it up on the Jumbotron before the game.
He's a gamer too, man. He stays in there. He takes these hits. He's like, I'm sure the team rallies around him. I don't know their locker room, of course, but it feels like it would make sense if they rallied around a player like that.
This game was all about turnovers.
Yeah.
You got one pick, 3 lost fumbles. That put the Eagles in the situation that they were in. There was a stretch during the second and third quarter, as you mentioned, where they just never had the ball.
Yeah.
They just didn't have the ball. I mean, obviously you can't score points usually if you don't have the ball. The possession differential is usually not that big a deal, but in this one, it was pretty staggering. The Eagles had the ball for 19 minutes and 36 seconds in this game. Commanders had the ball for a total of 40 minutes and 24 seconds. That's insane. One of those fumbles, Philly lost it in their own territory. That actually has to be mentioned. Also, this is dumb to me. So Dallas Goedert fumbles the ball, and they review it to make sure that it was actually a fumble, that he wasn't down before the fumble. But then when they show the close-up replay, you realize, like, oh, the Commanders guy is like trying to rip. It's face mask penalty.
Face mask, yeah.
And they review it, but the way it was explained is that when they're reviewing it, they're not allowed to review the face mask penalty. It's like, why? Why not? That makes no sense.
After review, there was a face mask. Yeah, because then, I don't know.
It's not like it takes you any extra time. You're looking at the same thing at the same, like, he's not down. It's a fumble. However, there's a face mask penalty that we missed. I don't know. If I was an Eagles fan, I'd be pissed. The Commanders ran the rock pretty well. Brian Robinson had a nice night, 86 yards and a touchdown. Gibson was good too. He had a touchdown.
So in that situation, there's a fumble. They missed the face mask. Do they keep the ball? Would you overturn the fumble? Because technically, if there was a face mask.
Yeah, the penalty wipes out the play in the same way that a pass interference wipes out an interception.
I know, but I'm saying a missed penalty. But then you catch it on the replay, you would say there was a fumble. However, during the replay, there was a face mask. No fumble anymore. I guess you penalty.
I guess it doesn't have to be totally black and white. You could, if you were able to determine that the ball was loose before the face mask, maybe the fumble stands, but then you push it back 15 yards.
Okay.
But I don't know. I mean, it just, to me, in the midst of like looking at the replay, you're simultaneously looking at a man fumbling, not being down, but also having his face mask ripped off. It doesn't strike me as like, it doesn't add any more time to the game.
Right. What if you saw a hold in the background?
Oh, no, I see. Now we're on the slippery slope.
What if you,
I know
exactly.
What you mean.
And what if you see
I know what you mean.
A guy
I know what you mean, but
illegal procedure.
But if the league holding is not, this doesn't fall into the same category as holding to me. Right, because face mask penalties are dangerous.
Yeah, 15 yards.
And if you give a shit about player safety, I mean, look at the penalty. All the penalties that require a 15-yard penalty generally have to do with player safety.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why face mask penalties are taken so
seriously. Except for
sportsmanlike
conduct for some stupid ass reason.
Whatever.
Yeah, like over celebration. 15 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just them being no fun.
All right. Well, that's that. Let's do the superlatives. Oh, you have more?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I just think it's kind of interesting to sort of put a bow on it. That obviously they're not undefeated anymore.
I think it's better for them.
I think it's better for them. This happened to the Cardinals last year. It happened to the Steelers the year before. I don't think anybody believed that this team deserved to be undefeated all the way through the season. No. But if I were them, I would watch out, because if I remember correctly, Cardinals and Steelers, they went on a bit of a losing streak.
I didn't think I didn't think they were a bubble though.
We'll
they have
see.
The best offensive line.
True.
They got a good receiving core. They have a good coach and a really good running game.
Yeah.
Quarterback.
They generally have a pretty good defense as well.
The defense is good. The defensive line is sick.
Yeah. They are missing my man, former Bulldog Jordan Davis. That's why they were, but whatever. He'll be back.
Yeah, whatever. Superlatives, real MVP. I can go first, man.
We probably have the same one, but go ahead.
All right. As you were about to say, Justin Jefferson was a man possessed on Sunday. He kicked off the game with a fantastic catch and never looked back. He single-handedly kept his team in the game at the end of regulation with highlight catch after highlight catch and kept that going into overtime. And because of that performance, I got to say, Justin Jefferson.
You the real MVP.
Yeah, again, some weeks there's only one answer to this question. We all know he had 10 receptions for 193 yards and a touchdown because we already told you that. We all saw that catch, which completely defied the laws of nature and physics. But what most people don't know is that while that might be the most impressive catch in this game, it was not the only unlikely catch he made in this game. Mm-hmm. This is a weird thing I saw from Next Gen Stats. Tweeted out that Justin Jefferson was responsible for 9 receptions with a sub 50% completion probability.
Wow.
That means that he caught 9 passes that he straight up was not expected to or should not have been able to catch. It turns out this is the most sub 50% catches in a game by any receiver in the Next Gen Stats era. No other player has had more than 6. He had 9 out of his 10 receptions that just straight up were not supposed to be caught. Absolutely insane.
Wow.
So, yeah, there's only one answer. He's the real MVP.
You the real MVP.
Who's your trash?
I honestly, I looked around. I guess I could have taken a lot of different people, but I just had to double dip back into Nathaniel Hackett and these Denver Broncos offense.
Yeah.
This has no reason to be this bad. No reason for this team to be this bad. They're ranked 32nd in points scored. They're the most penalized team in the NFL. All of this while having a top 5 defense. I mean, what a waste for all those defensive players going out there, balling out, putting their bodies on the line. As Derek Carr suggested, the things that they have to do just to be able to go to sleep at night. And you know, Nathaniel Hackett, he just can't. He ain't it. He's absolutely disgraceful. And I don't. And I'm still struggling to figure out if it's Hackett, if it's Russ, if it's a combo, or what the fuck is going on. But whatever it is, week after week, this team is fucking trash.
You are trash.
My trash is. I get a little joy in this one. Josh McDaniels. For so many years, he terrorized us as being heralded as this offensive genius, the brains behind the machine of Tom Brady. He went to Denver, won like his first 6 games. It turns out later that he was cheating, but whatever. It came from Belichick tree. Of course he was cheating. And then he comes over and the Denver thing falls apart. It seems like he can't get along with ownership or whatever. I don't know. They start losing the shit, and then he takes that losing record and runs back to daddy. Coaches a little bit more. Gets hired on as the Colts coach. Decides it's better to stay with daddy. Leaves that situation. Somehow gets hired again. He's white. And then goes to like he's at the Raiders. Supposed to turn them around. He took a team that seemed to be a great coach away from being a perennial contender and turned them into a bottom-of-the-barrel team. Last year, Jon Gruden got outed as a sexist homophobe. And somehow, the team rallied behind their interim coach to make it into the playoffs. This was a playoff team last year. Not much changed. Matter of fact, they picked up one of the top wide receivers in the NFL. All they needed was some experience. Enter Josh McDaniels. Everything starts falling apart this year. It's not looking good. And then the chance to turn things around was this week, man. You're going up against a goddamn high school coach, Josh. A guy with no professional or college experience last week was telling us how bad you are, Josh McDaniels. All you had was bulletin board material, but you couldn't do anything with that. And you lost to the guy who was just talking shit about you with no experience. That means there's only one conclusion to this, and that is...
You are trash!
Josh McDaniels.
My Lord. That was good. I like that.
What shit
Did you learn this week?
Coaches are they have this is also related to my trash because coaches have guaranteed contracts, fully guaranteed contracts, every coach. And it just dawned on me that shit really affects the team. It's not in the salary cap or anything, but billionaires do not like losing money. And this coaches on the guaranteed contract, we're starting to see the effects of it, especially when a team can't find the right coach. And that is the situation right now in Las Vegas and possibly in Denver, where we're wondering, why is Nathaniel Hackett still working? Why is Josh McDaniels still working? Well, they're still paying for Jon Gruden. And then they're going to have to pay Josh McDaniels' contract.
Oh, my God.
And then they're going to have to pay another coach. So they might be employed even longer than they should be just so that these teams can pay off these other coaches whose contracts they owe their money. Because remember, Gruden had a crazy contract.
Yeah, that's right.
He had a 10-year, $100 million contract, I believe is what it was. So they're still paying off that shit. And now they're going to have to stack Josh McDaniels' contract on there.
Oof.
So they might have to keep him around to see if it's working, even though it doesn't look like it's going to work. And then pay another good coach to come in. It's not looking good for teams like that. And that might be the same in Denver. they're going to have another 3-coach contract issue because they have Vic Fangio. His contract wasn't up. And then they're going to have Nathaniel Hackett. If they fire him, they're going to owe him all that money, and they got to bring somebody else in who's going to probably
somehow. I think
Fangio probably had 1 year left or something like that.
I think Hackett's going to get fired.
Oh, he's getting fired. Yeah, Hackett is. I don't know about McDaniel because.
But I think you might be right. I think McDaniel might stay, because of that situation that you just mentioned. Man, that sucks for Raiders fans. I hate it for them.
Yeah, man. So that was my shit that got learned. I just had like, oh shit, 3 coaches. I keep them 2. No, I wouldn't. I'd be like, I love you so much, fans, that I'm doing this. However, ticket prices went up.
Right. Yeah. It's now $50 for a hot dog.
They call them Josh dogs.
Right.
What shit did you learn?
I learned something kind of weird this weekend. All right. So yeah, bear with me. I learned some new shit about insomnia.
Uh-oh.
Now, there's a new drug for insomnia called Quvivic. I saw a commercial for it when I was watching college football on Saturday.
Okay.
Now,
you couldn't fall asleep.
my favorite part about pharmaceutical drug commercials is the part where they get to where they talk about side effects.
Hell yeah.
Right. But this one kind of took the motherfucking cake. So I'm gonna hit you with the side effects. Okay. And then I promise that this will swing back around to being relevant to football. Okay, here's the side effects. Do not take Quvivic if you have narcolepsy.
Of course.
Don't take alcohol or drive or operate heavy machinery.
Okay.
Right? Right? All normal. Here's where it starts to get weird. Quvivic may cause temporary inability to move or talk or hallucinations while falling asleep or waking up.
And you can't move?
Quvivic may cause sleepiness during the day, which kind of sucks. That's the whole point. You took it, right? Quvivic may lead to you doing activities while not fully awake that you don't remember the next day, like walking,
murdering,
driving, or making or eating food.
How'd you gain weight?
Worsening depression, including suicidal thoughts, might occur. The most common side effects are headaches, sleepiness, or suddenly realizing that you are the quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. Because honestly, this is the only way I can think to explain what we saw from Marcus Mariota this past week on Thursday Night Football. I am dead serious, dude. When I heard that shit on television, my first thought was like, Mariota is on Quvivic, bro. Because how else do you explain this? How?
That was brilliant. Yes.
Side note, I also feel like I learned that the FDA should not have approved this drug. I mean, what the hell, bro? I've never heard of a more fucked up side effects disclaimer for a drug commercial in my entire life.
Was death one? I've heard death on there before.
I don't know.
I've heard death on other ones, but
that thing of like doing shit that you may not remember the next day, I immediately thought of Marcus Mariota when they said that.
You know, somebody's gonna try to get out of a murder case with one of these.
Oh hell yeah!
They're gonna get prescribed this and then kill their wife a month later,
and
then blame Quvivic. All right. AFC scariest team. I'm gonna go ahead and say the Dolphins are the scariest team in the AFC right now, and I'm very proud of it. Especially the defense kind of held up against such a good rushing team. So seems like you got to pass the ball on the Dolphins and try to keep up. It's gonna make it a fucking race.
Yeah, good luck with that. I agree. Last week I said it was a coin toss between the Dolphins and the Chiefs. This week I don't need a fucking coin. All I need is the Miami Dolphins. These guys look so fucking good. Yeah. This victory against the Browns was probably Tua's best game of his NFL career, I would argue. A total performance from everyone, spreading the ball around to dudes I've never heard of. Yeah. I mentioned it before. Jeff Wilson slides in there like he's always been there.
Sherfield.
Yeah, Sherfield, Ingold, or on whatever the fuck that guy's name is. They're undefeated in games where Tua starts and finishes the game. As we know, AFC East is looking. I mean, they're at the top of the AFC East with the struggling Bills looking up. I felt like I should slip that in. We haven't.
Yeah, we didn't do SK at all.
We haven't. Yeah. But my definition of the scariest team is that team that you just don't want to have to play in a must-win game. Yeah. And right now, the Dolphins are the only team that falls under that, like truly falls under that category for me right now.
Yeah, I'm really happy. Finally, it's been so long. Hope that everybody stays healthy. We lost a player too for the season. I want to say Agba.
Did X give him herpes? What happened?
X is still around. He got. Well, you ever heard the term when somebody really beats a cornerback? They say he got burnt. They say X got burnt again. All right. We got the scariest NFC team. I had to go with none of the above. I picked D. None of the above. Sorry.
I picked Vikings, question mark?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
I'm not saying they're scarier than the Dolphins. But I certainly wouldn't want to have. But I certainly wouldn't want to have to play them.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook is looking great. Cousins is throwing this thing with Justin Jefferson is just it's in another stratosphere.
You like that? You like that?
They've also kind of quietly built a top 10 defense, and this coach Kevin O'Connell, who again doesn't get talked about enough, is proving to be one of the best rookie head coaches of the year, along with your guy. Yeah. I looked at them as being a soft one-loss team, but after this Bills win, there wasn't nothing soft about that.
Yeah.
That was smash mouth football. Yeah. They came from behind, gutsy performance.
Yeah.
A lot of luck involved, but hey,
still
they did it. Yeah. This is a different Vikings team.
Plus, the game should have been over with that incomplete pass.
Correct.
And the Bills got an extra player on the field and all that. Come on, man.
Correct.
Go Vikings.
Yeah.
Score.
Let's go. School.
All right. Well, that's our superlatives, and that's our episode. Went kind of long today, but sometimes there's information to get out there, man.
It was a good week.
It was a good week of football, some good games. It is what it is. But that's this episode. It's been Jonathan Rollins.
Skip me, Zara.
We'll be back very soon because we're dropping this a little later, and we'll hit you up about week 11. Stay tuned for that. Thanks for checking out SveNFL. We'll catch y'all later. Peace.
Later, y'all.